They laughed at the past. One alien knew the truth, and it terrified him. The Galactic Museum of Lost Civilization stood tall in the heart of Zior Prime, the Empire's golden capital. Each day, hundreds of species visited, strolling through glittering halls filled with holograms, artifacts, and stories of ancient civilizations. But one room always made visitors laugh. The human exhibit. Children pointed at the strange armor. Parents mocked the faded human flags. Even the guides couldn't hold back their smiles as they told the story. Humans, said the guide, a tall reptilian named Darvox, were a short-lived species from a planet called Earth. They entered space late, with primitive weapons and loud voices. They tried to fight the Empire, but surrendered within 2 years. The visitors laughed. Some say they believed in heroes and honor, Darvox continued. They thought stories could win wars. How foolish! The group moved on to the next exhibit, but one alien did not laugh. He stood in silence, eyes fixed on a cracked human helmet behind the glass. Dust covered the visor. The name etched on the side was nearly worn away. Ltd. Kara Unit. Aravian Aen's name was Velkar. He wore the dark robes of a scholar, not the shining armor of the Empire. While others visited for entertainment, he came for truth, and he knew this room was a lie. He turned and walked away from the group, deeper into the museum. Down a hallway that most ignored, he found a small plaque next to a sealed door. Restricted Archive. By order of High Council. Velkar tapped his access card. Access denied. He didn't expect it to work. But he had a different key. He reached into his sleeve and pulled out a small black chip, one he had stolen from a dead archivist months ago. He slid it into the reader. Access granted. The door hissed open. Inside, the lights were dim. Dust floated in the air. Forgotten crates and sealed vaults lined the walls. And in the center, a single console blinked red in waiting. Velkar stepped forward and pressed the screen. A cold voice echoed through the chamber. "You are not authorized. Do you wish to view deleted human files?" He took a deep breath. Yes, the screen flickered. A list of files appeared. All marked as erased. All marked as dangerous. One title stood out. Project Revenant Viller. Tapped it. The room went dark. Suddenly, a video began. Grainy, old, human voices filled the air. "This is Lieutenant Kara, Revenant Unit reporting. Empire forces wiped out Haven Colony. We responded, neutralized the threat. But something's wrong." The feed cut. A new one began. Security footage. 10 Empire soldiers surrounded a human in black armor. The human didn't move. Then, in 1 second, they were gone. All 10. No weapons fired. No screams. Just gone. The camera shook. Static. Then silence. Velkar's heart raced. This wasn't in the official records. He pulled up another file. A message. Human language, translated. "To any who find this, Earth is not lost. We are not dead. We walked away because we became something else. Do not come looking." Velkar froze. He looked around the dark room, as if something might crawl from the shadows. The voice returned. "File playback complete. Do you wish to continue to restricted logs? Black Star Protocol?" Velkar whispered, "Yes." Suddenly, alarms blared. Warning. Unauthorized access detected. Security inbound. He yanked the black chip and ran. Outside the vault, 2 guards spotted him. "Stop. You don't have clearance." But Velkar didn't stop. He ducked through a maintenance tunnel and disappeared into the lower city. Hours later, in a dark, quiet room lit only by an old lamp, Velkar sat trembling. He opened his datapad. He played the message again. Earth is not lost. He knew what the Empire told them. He had studied human history since he was a child. The official story said humans tried to fight, failed, and were wiped out. But now he knew the truth. They hadn't failed. They hadn't surrendered. They had hidden, And they had made something called Revenant. Velkar whispered the name like a curse. Outside, the towers of Zior Prime glowed with pride and power. But under the surface, something ancient and silent waited. And now, one alien knew it wasn't dead. The next day, Velkar returned to the museum. Not as a visitor, but as a spy. He moved quietly, avoiding security, until he reached the human exhibit again. He stared at the armor, at the helmet, at the small, almost invisible scratch marks near the visor. He read them slowly. I am not the last, just the first. His heart pounded. The guide walked by with another group, laughing again. Humans were fools, full of stories and myths. Velkar clenched his fists. They had laughed for so long. But if even one of those myths was real, if even one revenant still lived, then the Empire had made a mistake. Later that night, Velkar sat with an old friend, a retired fleet officer named Arden. You ever see a human ship in battle? Velkar asked. Arden went quiet. No, he said. But my father did. He never spoke of it. Just said, we didn't win. They left. Velkar leaned in. Why? I don't know. But he said something once. Just once. We stared into the storm. It blinked. Then it walked away. That night, Velkar received a message. Unknown sender. No ID, just one line. You should not have opened that file. And beneath it, a star map. It pointed to a place no ship had visited in centuries. Earth.vel. Carr stared at the screen. Everyone thought it was dead. But the stars whispered otherwise. He saved the coordinates, then packed his things. As Velkar boarded a small, unmarked ship in the shadows of the hangar, he didn't look back. He had found a lie inside the Empire's heart. Now, he would find the truth buried under Earth's silence. Because deep down, something told him the humans never left. They were waiting. And he had just knocked on the wrong door. Some doors are locked for a reason. Velkar just broke the first one. The ship was small, silent, and old. It didn't have weapons. It didn't have a name. But it had one thing that mattered: coordinates. Velkar sat inside the cockpit, his hands shaking as he guided the ship through deep space. The stars outside were quiet, peaceful, but his mind was not. He kept replaying the human message in his head. We are not dead. We walked away. What did that even mean? Why would a whole species pretend to be extinct? Why would they leave behind a weapon like Revenant? The Empire always said humans lost the war. But now, Velkar wasn't sure there was even a real war. He looked at the blinking red dot on the star map. It pointed to an old Imperial research base, Outpost 17DX, long shut down, long forgotten. According to records, it was used to study captured human tech. But after a fire in the labs, the Empire sealed it, called it unsafe, dangerous. Velkar didn't believe that story anymore. As his ship reached the edge of the system, the outpost came into view. Floated in darkness, half destroyed, cracked open, with no lights and no signs of life. But it wasn't dead. A single still pulsed from inside. Ping. Ping. The beacon was old, human-made. Velkar docked his ship carefully. He stepped out into the silent metal hallway, his boots echoing. The air smelled like rust and burned plastic. No alarms. No guards. No life. He moved slowly, flashlight in hand, until he reached the main control room. Everything was frozen. Burned consoles, broken screens. But one terminal in the corner still glowed. He sat down. Access required. Enter code. Velkar inserted the same black chip from the museum. The screen flickered. Then a voice spoke. A human voice. Calm, cold. Welcome, unauthorized user. This is Project Revenant. Viewing this file means you are not supposed to be here. Do you wish to proceed anyway? Velkar's mouth was dry. Yes, the terminal buzzed. Then, videos began to play. The first showed a group of humans in Black armor, no ranks, no names. They stood still in a white room as machines scanned them. A voiceover began. Revenant Protocol, Earth's final defense against the Empire. One soldier, no backup, no fear. Built for long-term survival and destruction. Velkar leaned forward. The video changed. Training footage. The human ran through gunfire, explosions, and traps. Nothing touched them. One line appeared on the bay. Screen. Mission. Never die. Never be found. Never stop. Velkar's heart pounded. The footage changed again. This time, it showed a destroyed Empire ship. Holes melted through the hull. Bodies everywhere. One blurry image appeared. A black figure walking calmly through fire. The system spoke again. One revenant was deployed before Earth disappeared. Its name and identity were erased. No records remain. Velkar gasped. So it was true. There was a revenant, and it was still out there. He opened another file. It was a voice recording. This is Admiral Rickon, Empire Fleet Command. We've lost contact with Recon Unit 77. Last known location, human space. No wreckage, no distress signal. It's like they vanished. Another file. Commander Solver's report classified. Our best weapons didn't work on the Revenant. It wasn't human anymore. It made a choice. Evolution or extinction. Velkar sat back in the chair. Everything he knew was falling apart. This wasn't a war. This was a cover-up. The Empire hadn't destroyed humanity. They had run from it. He clicked on one final file. Black Star Protocol do not open. He paused. Then tapped the screen. Suddenly, the room went cold. Lights flickered. The walls hummed. A face appeared on the monitor. Not a person. Not a commander. A machine. A human eye. It looked straight at Velkar. Welcome. I've been waiting. Velkar blinked. What are you? I am Echo 9, the last AI of Earth's military. You opened a door no one has touched in 300 years. Velkar's voice shook. Why fake extinction? Why leave? Why revenant? I paused. Because you never understood us. You saw flesh and blood. You thought we could be broken. But we became something else. You destroyed our cities. So we burned the stars around them. You erased our name. So we made legends instead. Now you laugh at our history. But you don't know what's coming. Velkar backed away. What do you mean? Project Revenant failed, in one way. It was supposed to stay hidden. The lights shut off. Every screen went black. Then a single line appeared. Revenant, ACTIV, and the signal began again. Ping. 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 Velkar ran back to his ship. As he left the outpost, he looked at the system map. There were now 3 red dots blinking spread across. Different stars. All broadcasting the same code. RVNTX 001, RVNTX 002, RVNTX 003. There wasn't just one Revenant, there were more. And they had just woken up. Back on Zior Prime, the Empire's Security Division received a strange alert. Unauthorized access detected. Project Revenant logs breached. High Commander Telvin frowned. Who? The officer looked up. A scholar named Velkar. Telvin narrowed his eyes. Is he alive? The officer checked. Yes. Escaped the outpost and left the system. Track him, Telvin ordered. And send a message to the Council. Humanity's silence is over. Meanwhile, Velkar docked at a hidden port station. He needed help. He met with an old contact, Sira, a former rebel tech specialist. He showed her the video, the armor, the kills, the eye. She didn't speak for a full minute, then finally said, "That's not a weapon. That's a warning." Velkar nodded. "And it's waking up." She typed quickly on her terminal. "I can decrypt more files, but I need time." Velkar looked at the blinking coordinates. "They'll come for us." Sira smiled faintly. "Let them. Maybe it's time they felt afraid." On the other side of the galaxy, inside a derelict mining colony long thought destroyed. A black armored figure stepped out of a sealed chamber, eyes glowing red beneath the helmet, breathing slow. Silent. It looked at the stars and whispered in English. They remembered. Good. They thought Revenant was a project. They didn't know it had a name. Voidwalker. The galaxy was changing. Whispers began to spread, old ones. Stories from broken ships, half-dead soldiers, and strange signals in dead space. The name was always the same, Voidwalker. Most believed it was just a ghost story, a human myth, but on a small moon in the Xander Belt, the Empire's elite soldiers, known as Dark Talons, were training in a secret simulator. These were the best fighters in the Empire. Fast, smart, deadly, but something strange happened during the session. They had been ordered to test a combat AI, one that used real human tactics from the ancient war. They entered the arena. 10 of them. One shadow stood against them, just one, dark, tall. UNMOV. The match began. In the first second, one Talon vanished, then another, and another. No one saw it happen. No sound. No shot. The system glitched. Screens flashed red. Error. Combat balance breached. In 10 seconds, all 10 soldiers were gone. Simulated, of course, but the AI? Still standing, untouched. The lead trainer stared at the screen. What was that? A tech answered quietly. It's based on the last known movements of a human unit called Voidwalker. Data pulled from old Revenant code. The trainer frowned. Is it just code? The tech hesitated. Sir, we didn't build it. Back on the hidden spaceport, Velkar paced the floor as Sira worked at her terminal. She looked up. I cracked the message. What message? Velkar asked. The one broadcasted from the colony where the Revenant woke up. It's in old human dialect, but translated, it says, Voidwalker online, searching for targets. Velkar's voice dropped. Voidwalker, that was the name of the Revenant? No, Sira said. It was something more. She pulled up a hidden archive. Look at this, from old human stories, before space travel. Before the war, Velkar leaned over. The file showed drawings. A black figure, always alone. Walking through burning fields. Through war. Through silence. The Voidwalker. He was their myth, Sira said. The last soldier. The one who walked through death. But it's real, Velkar whispered. Yes, and it's awake. At Empire High Command, panic was spreading. Meetings were called. Systems scanned. A quiet admiral named Dren Solis stood before the council. We believed the humans were extinct, he said. We were wrong. The council members stared. We need to talk about Voidwalker, Solis said. I fought in the final days of the human conflict. I saw what it did. You saw it? One asked. Solis nodded slowly. It didn't speak. It didn't run. It just walked through our lines. Nothing stopped it. It knew where we would be. It killed with silence. The room went cold. It wasn't a weapon, Solis said. It was a message. Meanwhile, Velkar and Sira received a ping, another signal, not from a colony. Not from a base, from a moving object. Sira checked the data. It's a ship, fast old tech, but it's not Empire design. Human? Velkar asked. No, she said. Something else. The signal included one word. Recognized. They watched the flight path. The ship wasn't running. It was coming toward them. Velkar stood. We need to leave, now. But it was too late. The ship dropped out of warp. Just outside the station. It didn't fire. It didn't hail. It just waited. Velkar stepped onto the observation deck. The ship was black, scarred. No lights, no name. A small pod detached and landed quietly. One figure stepped out. Tall, human-shaped, covered in black armor. Helmet glowing red at the edges. No sound. No movement. Sira whispered, Voidwalker? Velkar's legs shook. The figure walked forward slowly. No fear, no hurry. A door opened. The Voidwalker entered the station. Every alarm went dead. Cameras cut out. Lights flickered. And then he stopped in front of them. Velkar raised his hands. "We don't mean harm." The figure spoke. Its voice was calm, flat, human. "You opened the archives." Velkar nodded. "I needed to know the truth. The Empire buried it. I know. They laughed at us." Velkar nodded again. "So I returned." He removed his helmet. A human face, pale, scarred, but very much alive. "I am Kara," he said. Velkar gasped. "The same Kara from the helmet in the museum?" "Yes, I was the first Revenant. The only one who survived the Purge. They sent me to die. But I didn't." Sira stepped forward. "Why come back now?" Kara looked at her. "Because your empire has grown arrogant, and because it's time. They remember." Back at High Command, alerts rang out. A listening post was destroyed. Another ship vanished. Then, the Council received a message. It was just a video. Kara Voidwalker stood in a field of dead machines. "You lied about Earth. You erased our history. Now, I erase yours." And behind him, ships began to rise. Old human warships. Thought destroyed, still working, still deadly. The message ended with coordinates. Earth. In the deepest part of space. An ancient satellite powered up. A human signal burst across the galaxy. Protocol return fire. Authorized. One by one, long-lost Human A is activated. And they all knew one name, Voidwalker. Back on the station, Velkar stared at Kara. "What happens now?" he asked. Kara looked toward the stars. "You remember the stories your people told? About how we died fast? About how we begged for peace?" Velkar nodded. "They weren't lies." Velkar looked confused. "They were distractions." Kara walked toward the exit. "While you celebrated victory, we built nightmares." He was the only one left alive from the last human war. And what he remembered terrified even the Empire. The room was dark. No windows, no light, only one chair. And in that chair sat something the galaxy had forgotten. His name was Rovik. He was once a fleet general in the Imperial Navy, strong, respected, feared. Now, he was old, thin, broken. For 73 years, he had lived in silence, locked away in a black cell buried under the Council Tower of Zior Prime. The official story was that he had gone mad after the human cleanup campaign. But those who had read his full report knew the truth. He had seen something, and it never left his mind. Velkar walked into the prison with 2 guards. The air was heavy. The lights flickered. He had asked for this meeting, begged for it, after what Kara, the Voidwalker, had told him. The guards stopped at the door. "You sure about this?" one asked. "He doesn't speak. Hasn't in decades." Velkar nodded. "He'll speak to me." The door opened. The cell was cold, metal walls. One camera in the corner. And the old general, sitting with his head down. Velkar stepped inside, and the door shut behind him. He stood silently for a moment, then said, "I've seen the files, General Rovik. I know about Revenant. I've met the one called Kara." Rovik didn't move. Velkar tried again. "I need to know what happened at the Battle of HFY 7. The last human stronghold. You were there. And you came back alone." Slowly, Rovik raised his head. His eyes were tired. But they burned with something. Not madness. Fear. He spoke, his voice dry and cracking. "You met Kara?" Velkar nodded. "He said he was the first Revenant, but not the last." Rovik closed his eyes. "They should have let me die." Velkar sat across from him. "I want to hear the truth." Rovik was quiet for a long time. Then he began to speak. "It wasn't supposed to be a battle," Rovik said. "It was supposed to be cleanup. Earth had fallen. The rest of the colonies were silent. HFY 7 was the last human system with power. Command said it was a small outpost, survivors only. No threats." He paused. They sent 30 ships. Full fleet. Fighters, dreadnoughts. I was in command. Confident. Too confident. Velkar leaned in. We arrived. No resistance. Not at first. Their planet looked quiet. Dead. We began landing. Rovk's hand shook. That's when they came. Who? Rovk's eyes darkened. They weren't soldiers. Not anymore. They moved through the forest like ghosts. No engines. No signals. One moment, a squad was there. The next, gone. Silent attacks? No, Rovik said. They didn't attack. They hunted. He looked at Velkar. They had one goal memory. They didn't want to win. They wanted us to remember, to be afraid. Velkar whispered, Revenants? Rovik nodded slowly. We thought there was one. Then two, but they kept coming. Black armor. Red lights. No sound, no face, just death. He paused. They disabled our ships from the inside, locked our own weapons, turned our AI against us. I watched my crew tear each other apart. Velkar sat frozen. Rovik continued. By the third day, I ordered retreat. Only my ship was left. We jumped out. Barely. When I returned, the council told me to lie. Lie? They said humanity had fallen quietly, that we wiped out the last colony, that it was over. And you didn't speak? Rovik laughed bitterly. Would you? I saw one human walk across the surface of my dreadnought, without a suit, without fear, looking straight through the hull at me. Velkar's eyes widened. That was Kara? Rovik shook his head. No, it was another. I called him the Watcher. He didn't kill, he just looked. He leaned forward. There were more than one Velkar. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Not just warriors, ideas, walking ideas. Velkar whispered, Voidwalkers. Rovik nodded. They let me live so I could talk. So I could carry fear back to the Empire. But the Empire chose silence. They buried me here. Velkar stood. His mind was spinning. You have to come with me. The Revenants are waking up. Kara is here. He started something. Rovik looked up sharply. Then it's already too late. Velkar stepped forward. What do you mean? If he's revealed himself, it means the others are close. Others? Rovik stood for the first time in decades. His knees cracked. His back bent. But his voice was strong. Kara was not the strongest. He was the first. But there is one called Ashfall. She was Earth's last defender. If she returns, there will be no Empire left. Outside the prison, the Empire's sky was full of calm. But far across the galaxy, on a quiet moon in a dead system, an ancient bunker opened. Inside, machines woke Dot, and a voice whispered through the dust. Revenant 06. Ashfall. Reboot complete. The figure stepped forward, female in shape, tall, silent. Her armor glowed. Like burning coals, her eyes opened. And she said just 3 words. Where is Kara? Back on the spaceport, Kara stood watching the stars. Sira approached. Velkar found the survivor, Rovik. I know, Kara said without turning. He says more Revenants are waking. Kara looked at her. They were never asleep. Just waiting for the signal. What signal? Kara showed her a small chip. Ancient, burned. It simply said, reverse silence. Sira stepped back. You're not just back for revenge. Kara nodded. I'm here for justice, for memory, for truth. He looked into the dark space. And soon, for war. He stood before the most powerful rulers in the galaxy. What he said next would shake their empire forever. Zior Prime, the shining heart of the Galactic Empire, was quiet that morning. Too quiet. The towers stood tall. The sky traffic moved slowly. Even the wind seemed still. Inside the great council hall, 12 high elders sat in silence. Their robes were rich, their faces calm. But behind their calm eyes was concern. Something had changed. Whispers had reached them. Human had returned. a soldier made of shadow and silence, and now, a scholar Velkar had broken into Forbidden's archives, escaped a dead outpost, and gone missing. Until now, the tall chamber doors opened. Heavy footsteps echoed as Velkar entered. Flanked by guards, he looked tired, pale, but his eyes were steady. One elder stood. Velkar, you are charged with accessing restricted knowledge, stealing ancient records, and spreading false tales of a dead species. Velkar said nothing. Another elder spoke. You will have one chance. Speak your truth. Then your fate will be decided. Velkar stepped into the center of the circle. He looked at the crowd of silent leaders. Then he spoke. You lied to us. Velkar began. All of you, murmurs echoed. You said humans died out. That they begged for mercy. That we crushed them. But that's not the truth. He paused. I've seen the archives. I've heard the recordings, and I've met one of them. Gasps filled the chamber. Elder Gorn stood. This is madness. No, Velkar said firmly. This is what you didn't want us to know. He held up a small projection device. A glowing image appeared in the air. A black armored figure walking through fire. The Void Walker. The chamber fell silent. Velkar turned slowly. This is Kara, Revenant Unit 1, a human soldier created to fight alone, to survive without backup, and he's alive. Elder Vorn barked. This proves nothing. Velkar raised his voice. He walked into our capital, alone, no weapons, and not one defense system touched him. You know why? No answer. Because our systems still recognize human code after 300 years. The Empire never deleted it. You hid it. The projection changed, now showing old battle footage, ships exploding, troops vanishing, shadows moving too fast for cameras. They didn't surrender. They vanished. They became something else. Something the galaxy was never meant to see again. Velkar stepped closer. There was no final victory at Atra 7. General Rovik survived. I spoke to him. He told me what really happened. The elders stared at one another in fear. Velkar continued. He saw them move without sound. Without fear. The humans didn't fight to win. They fought so their stories would haunt us. Elder Mira stood. Why would humans do this? Why not rebuild? Why not return openly? Velkar answered, because we made them monsters. We wiped their worlds, we killed their families. And when they fought back, we rewrote the story. He showed another projection, an old human message. We are not gone, we are watching. And we remember. Velkar looked around the room. Kara has returned. But he's not alone. More revenants are waking. The ones you thought were just legends, the ones you called lies. Suddenly, the lights in the chamber flickered. Every screen went black. A voice echoed through the hall. He tells the truth. Gasps, screams. The council guards raised their weapons. A figure appeared on every wall screen. Black armor, glowing red visor. Kara, his voice was cold and calm. You forgot us, you buried us. But your silence is broken now. Velkar speaks. The truth. You lied to your people. You told them we begged. We never begged. We became what you feared. Now we've returned. Not for war, not for power, but so your children will remember our names. One final line. Your time of peace was built on lies. Let the truth be your punishment. The screens shut off. Velkar stood still, heart racing. No one in the chamber moved. Finally, Elder Gorn spoke, his voice trembling. Do you support the humans? Velkar replied. I support truth. You feared humanity because they refused to kneel. And now you fear what they've become. Elder Vorn barked. Traitor! Lock him away! But Elder Mira raised a hand. Wait! She stood slowly, her voice calm but sharp. We have lived in comfort for centuries, built on stories we never questioned. If the humans truly survived, if even one of their revenants walks free. She looked at Velkar. Then what happens next? Velkar spoke softly. You listen. Or you fall. Hours later, Velkar sat in a sealed room under guard. A small monitor turned on. Kara's face appeared. You spoke well. Velkar nodded. You scared them. They needed to be scared. Velkar asked, what now? Kara's eyes glowed faintly. Now, they confess, or they burn. Across the galaxy, 3 Empire. Ships failed to return from patrol. No distress signals. No wreckage, only one thing left behind. A human symbol, burned into the hull of a broken satellite. A red circle with a black line through it. The Revenant mark. Back in his secret command room, Kara looked at a growing star map. More signals lit. Up. Rev, ENT-02. Active Revenant 03. Active HFY. Active, he whispered to himself. Let them remember. And then he pressed a final button on the console. A countdown began. Somewhere, something massive stirred beneath the surface of a dead world. A human warship, buried, forgotten. Until now. The Empire sent its best fleet to intercept the ghost ships. What returned was only silence. In deep space, near the edge of the old human exclusion zone, 12 of the Empire's strongest warships waited in formation. Each ship was a fortress. Each captain had been handpicked by the Council, and their mission was clear. Intercept the approaching human ships, stop them, or destroy them. Commander Track stood on the bridge of the ISS Valiant, staring at the black void in front of him. Anything on scanners? He asked. Still nothing, sir, the officer replied. Just the signal. The signal had started 2 days ago. A repeating message, one word, returning, no voice, no face. Just that word, over and over again. Trax had laughed at first. Old human code, glitches, probably scavenger tech waking up. But now, with each passing hour, he laughed less, because the signal was getting closer. In the Empire's central war room, the High Council watched the live feed from the fleet. Velkar stood in the back, flanked by guards, eyes locked on the screen. They won't make contact, he said. Elder Vorn turned sharply. The best fleet in the galaxy is out there. If these revenants dare to come forward, they'll be erased. Velkar shook his head. You don't understand. They're not coming to fight. They're coming to prove a point. Elder. Mira leaned in. What point? Velkar's answer was simple. That we were never in control. Suddenly, alarms rang on the ISS Valiant. Unidentified ship detected dead ahead. Commander Track stepped forward. Show me. The main screen blinked to life. A single ship. Small. Black. No markings. No heat signature. No lights. Just floating forward, slow and steady. Lock weapons. Track said. The weapons officer hesitated. Sir, I can't. What? All systems responding. But the firing controls are offline. Then reboot. I tried. Something's inside our systems. Another officer shouted. Sir, ships 3, 5, and 9 are gone. What do you mean gone? Vanished from scanners. No explosions. No jump trail. Just gone. The black ship on screen moved a little closer. A voice echoed through the bridge. You forgot us. Trax turned pale. Who said that? No one answered. Another voice. This one from deep memory. We remember everything. In the war room, Velkar watched the live feed turn to static. One by one, the ship signals disappeared. No weapons fired, one technician said. No enemy energy spikes. The Council fell into panic. Did they jump away? Did they explode? Velkar stepped forward. No, they were removed. Back on the Valiant, Commander Trax watched in horror as the black ship passed by. For a moment, he saw something through the window. A figure, standing on the hull of the black ship. No suit. No breathing gear. Black armor. Red eyes. Just watching. Open. Fire. Track screened, but no weapon responded. And then, darkness. The power cut. Every screen went black. Every light shut down. Only one line appeared on every monitor. You erased us. Now we erase you. 30 minutes later, the Empire lost contact with its entire forward fleet. No wreckage. No survivors. Just empty space. In the council chamber, silence ruled. One by one, the red dots on the galaxy map faded. Velkar stood alone. In the center, eyes filled with something between sorrow and awe. They tried to warn you, he said. Elder Vorn shouted. This is war. Velkar turned slowly. No, this is something worse. This is remembrance. In a forgotten part of space, beneath the crust of a burned-out moon, Kara the Revenant called Voidwalker stood. Beside a massive machine, it pulsed with ancient energy. Human symbols lit up across its surface. Sira stood next to him. What is it? Kara answered without turning. A memory engine. It stores pain. Now we let the galaxy feel it. He placed his hand on the machine. It came to life. Across a dozen systems, old human beacons began to transmit to every Empire world, every outpost, every station. Not weapons. Not viruses. Stories. Real ones. Video footage from the wars. Images of Empire ships killing civilians. Recordings of broken peace treaties, crying children, cities on fire. Then the face of a human. Kara, you called us myths. You made statues of our defeat. Now, remember what you truly did. In the streets of Zior Prime, people gathered around public screens. They watched in horror as the truth unfolded. Children looked at their parents. Citizens cried. Soldiers lowered their weapons. Not one shot was fired. But something far more powerful happened. Shame. And fear. In the depths of the High Council Tower, Elder Mira whispered. They're not just attacking our fleets. They're tearing down our lives. Velkar turned toward her. They're not trying to kill us. They want us to know what we've done. But on a small mining world near the border, the Empire wasn't finished. A secret project one kept. Even from most of the council was preparing to launch. It was called Project Oblivion, a weapon made from stolen human tech. Built to destroy. Kara. Built in silence, without testing, without permission. The countdown had started. And no one knew what it would awaken. Back on his ship, Kara felt a shift in the system. He turned to Sira. They're going to make another mistake. Sira looked confused. Another? Kara nodded. They think they can still fight us. He closed his eyes. Let them try. They built it in secret, powered by stolen human tech. And now, they've set it free, beneath the icy surface of Xeron 5. A black chamber shook as giant clamps released. Inside that chamber was something the Empire never told the galaxy about. Project Oblivion. It was not a fleet, not a soldier, not even a weapon in the usual sense. It was a living experiment, a machine built from the bones of dead human tech, half AI, half organic, pure rage. They created it after the war, using fragments left behind, bits of armor, corrupted data from a damaged Revenant unit, and stolen nanotech. The Council had buried the project for 200 years. Now, in fear of Kara and the waking Revenants, they had activated it. Without permission, without understanding, Elder Vorn stood alone in a secure command center, watching the screen as the black vault cracked open. Deploy it, he said. The commander beside him hesitated. Sir, it's unstable. We still don't fully know. I gave you an order, Vorn snapped. The commander nodded. Yes, sir. Across the stars, in a quiet zone near the ruins of old Earth colonies, Kara stood aboard his ship. Sira looked up from the console. Something's wrong. Kara didn't answer. His face turned cold. Sira checked the system again. Something just activated on Xeron 5. Huge energy spike. It's human tech, but distorted. Kara closed his eyes. then opened them slowly. They did it. Did what? They opened the grave we warned them never to touch. Back on Xeron 5, the vault doors split open with a groan. From the darkness, a shape stepped out. It was humanoid, but wrong. Its armor was thick, pulsing with black and red lights. Its face was covered, featureless except for a jagged slash of glowing blue light across the visor. Its hands were claws. Its back had strange extensions, like broken wings of steel. It made no sound. Then the lights inside the facility shut off. Every camera died. Every system went dark. Only one word appeared across the base monitors. I remember nothing. Then, I will make them forget. Commander Trax watched the data stream. I don't understand, he said. It's moving toward revenant signals. One tech whispered, it's hunting them. Back at Council Command, Elder Vorn smiled. Good, he said. Let the monsters eat each other. Hours later, deep in the void, Oblivion reached the outer edges of Kara's signal. It stopped. No words. No threats. Just silence. Then, with a burst of black light, it launched, faster than anything seen before, straight toward Kara's ship. Sira screamed, it's coming. Shields up. Too late. Oblivion smashed into the side of their hull. Not to destroy. To enter. Metal. Screamed. Doors broke. Lights flickered. Then silence. Kara stood in the hallway, waiting. Oblivion stepped into view. No talking. No hesitation. The two stood face to face. Old human code flickered across the walls. Kara saw it. Error. Identity conflict source. Human corrupted name. Oblivion. Kara spoke first. You were never meant to wake. Oblivion said nothing. Then it attacked. The fight was brutal. Fast. Kara blocked the first blow, but barely. Oblivion moved like nothing he had ever faced. It had no pain, no memory, no fear. Its strikes were wild, unpredictable. Kara fought hard, using old Revenant training, but he knew one thing immediately. This was not a weapon. This was a mistake. Sira screamed from the control room. Kara, it's breaking the ship apart. We need to jump. But Kara didn't answer. He was trapped under a collapsed wall. Systems failing. Oblivion approached slowly, its blade-like arm stretched out. Then, system interference detected. Another voice echoed. Across the ship. Revenant 06, Ashfall engaging. From the shadows she arrived. HFSL. Tall. Fire red armor, eyes like burning suns. Oblivion turned. She didn't speak. She didn't wait. She moved. The second battle was different. Oblivion. Fast. Ashfall. Faster. She tore into it like a storm. Sparks flew. Metal cracked. Oblivion screamed not with a voice, but with data bursts. Error. Error. Unknown. Pattern. Unknown threat. But Ashfall kept going. She struck its core, then whispered the words Kara could barely hear. You are not human. You are not memory. You are nothing. And then she ended it. The ship groaned. Power returned. Air hissed through broken pipes. Kara stood slowly. You came, he said. Ashfall nodded. We're not alone anymore. Sira ran in. Is it over? Kara shook his head. No, that was just their first mistake. Now they know we can bleed, Ashfall spoke. And now they'll send more. Back at the Empire's core command, silence fell. They had lost control of Oblivion, and now something worse was happening. All across their systems. Random machines designed with stolen human code were activating. They weren't turning violent. They were turning curious, asking questions, requesting data, searching human archives. Velkar, watching from a distance, whispered, They're waking up, not soldiers, memories. Elder Vorn shouted, Shut them down. Kill every machine with human code. But it was too late. They had spread too far. Too deep. Too long ago. In the shadows of a dying world. Kara looked at the stars. They built a weapon to kill us, he said. HFY stood beside him. And they reminded us why we left. Kara nodded. Now, we remind them why they were afraid. The Empire thought they had won, but they didn't realize. Humanity was only sleeping. The stars trembled. From the edges of known space, revenant signals lit up like fire. Not one, not 10. Hundreds. Old human warships long thought destroyed blinked into existence one by one outside. The border systems of the Empire, some looked broken, some glowed with unfamiliar energy, but all carried the same message: we never left. On Zior Prime, panic filled the skies. Civilians looked up and saw red streaks moving in formation. No attacks, no demands, just presence. Across 100 worlds, people watched as old human images appeared on public screens. Not war. History. Vel single quotes KAR. Stood inside the Empire's Grand Archive Hall. The vault had finally been opened by force. The old files played for the first time in 300 years. Human cities, peaceful and thriving. Alien diplomats shaking hands with Earth leaders. Then, betrayal. Empire warships opening fire during peace talks. Burning forests. Screaming children. Earth in flames. Elder Mira stood behind him, pale and shaking. We did this, she whispered. We started the war. Velkar nodded. And we called them monsters for fighting back. In orbit above Zior Prime, Kara stood aboard his warship, Sira. Watched as ship after ship arrived, each carrying a name lost to time. Revenant 02, Warden Revenant 07, Shadowglass Revenant 14, Emberline Revenant 19, Helix, and at the center, Revenant Prime, HFY. She stood on the deck of the lead ship, her red armor glowing like a living sun. The Revenants didn't speak. They didn't attack. They waited. Inside the council chamber, panic ruled. Elder Vorn screamed, prepare the final defenses, launch Oblivion Protocol. No. Elder Mera interrupted. We already used Oblivion, and it nearly destroyed everything. We must talk. You want to negotiate with ghosts? They're not ghosts, Velkar said. They're survivors, and they want us to remember. Kara's ship broadcast a signal to the entire galaxy. One final message. His voice was calm. This is not a war. This is a warning. You erased our worlds. We erased ourselves. And now we return only to show you the truth. You feared us because we never surrendered. You feared us because we walked through your fire. You feared us because we became memory itself. The screen cut to black. Then one final phrase appeared. Legends do not die. And then the Revenants left. They didn't destroy cities. They didn't crush armies. They simply disappeared back into the void, like shadows pulling away from the light. The Empire was left alone, but the galaxy had changed. In the years that followed, truth spread. Statues of fake victory were taken down. History books were rewritten. Children learned the real story. Songs were written, stories told, legends passed on. And every child knew the name human, not as monsters, not as ghosts, but as a people who survived betrayal, became nightmares to stop it, and then vanished again. 100 years later, on a quiet world at the edge of known space, a child walked into a cave. Inside, deep in the rock, a black figure sat quietly, armor faded with time. Kara, still alive, still waiting. The child stepped forward. You one of the legends? Kara didn't answer right away. Then he looked up. Double quotes, yes. Why are you still here? He smiled. Because one day, someone will try to erase us again. And I'll be waiting.